The question we asked is, how can we get our companies to unlock growth? Common wisdom at the time was that if you find product market fit, try that, and we had many companies that would just burn a lot of money and fail. Where you build a repeatable, scalable go-to-market motion that was then something that would then unlock growth. And well, I think this is a fantastic time for Korean entrepreneurs to enter the United States. If they can make that a simple vision that they can explain in 5 minutes on just one PowerPoint slide and have it so that people can see how you can be the winner. Hi, I'm Tae-hee Nam. I immigrated to the United States when I was 5 years old from Korea and have been living in Silicon Valley since 1985 and have worked with hundreds of startups since then. We were fortunate to have many people help us when we were founding and working with our startups. And we wanted to sort of pay back to the community for all the help that people have given us. And so this was an opportunity for us to then just share our thoughts and advice in a simple manner. Unfortunately, there were too many, but the first thing is that we thought this project was only going to take 6 months, and it took us over 4 years. And the main reason why it took so long is that even though Bob and I have worked together for 15 years on 2 startups very closely, we found that we had different perspectives. And so as we were writing the book, it was like dueling chapters. And what happened is that because of our different roles, we had different perspectives of the same founder journey. In other words, Bob was the founder CEO, I was the lead investor, venture capitalist, and board member. And so as a result, he was like the surfer who would be surfing the wave, and I would be like in a helicopter above the surfers watching, let's say, 10 surfers and give them advice. So it took us 4 years to reconcile these 2 books into one book, to 4 thoughts into one book. So what we tried to do in the book is to achieve 2 goals. One is to help founders see the big picture and how all the dots are connected. And so you have that sort of big picture perspective. But within that big picture is going to be specific challenges facing the company at critical moments. And what we try to do then is to give very specific practical advice for each of those moments, and that would be an example of a playbook. So I'll just give a couple of specific examples, is that what happens if you have a person who's been a superstar, who's been a fantastic contributor and starts to fail? Do you try to help him or her become successful, or do you replace that person? Another example would be like, how do you unlock growth in the company? So this was a critical concept that we introduced in the first book, of finding go-to-market fit. And the reason we introduced it is that companies that could not unlock growth, we generally failed. And companies that unlocked growth and became high-growth companies did very well, and we made a lot of money. And so the question we asked is, how can we get our companies to unlock growth? Common wisdom at the time was that if you find product market fit, then you have happy customers, and then with that, all you need to do is scale to unlock growth. We tried that, and we had many companies that would just burn a lot of money and fail. And so what we found is that product market fit was not enough to unlock growth, but you needed to have this new step where you build a repeatable, scalable go-to-market motion that was then something that would then unlock growth. And we call that finding go-to-market fit. So what we've done is we've come out with a 3rd version of this book for free online. We have an early version of it on our website. It's called unlock.survivalofthrival.com. And what it provides is our actual recipe for finding go-to-market fit. So we put in there a 4-step recipe in terms of exactly how do you find go-to-market fit to unlock growth. And we put this in because after we wrote these 2 books, the main feedback we got from the readers was, this is great, we agree with the concepts, but then how do we specifically find go-to-market fit? And that's the knowledge that we wanted to share. And at the same time, what we're hoping is that as others develop their own experiences and methods, that they can share it with the community, broader community as well. And I just want to share a couple of examples of community contributions. One is product-led growth now is becoming an extremely powerful new go-to-market methodology. And so we have an interview with the CEO of Zenefits, Jay Fulcher, where he shares his product-led growth strategy, what works, what doesn't work, and how he built it. We also added a couple of customer interviews with senior executives in major US companies on why they would buy from startups, to sort of help founders understand how to get your very first customer. Americans are very individualistic. I think that reflects the frontier mentality of being pioneers. At the same time, what we see is that Americans are actually very charitable. So they're very much into helping the community, sort of helping people that are in need. And we see that in the Silicon Valley entrepreneur community because many of the founders come from all around the world, are immigrants basically to Silicon Valley. And so people that are starting companies get help from other members of the community. And so as a result, they just want to help the next generation of entrepreneurs. Well, I think this is a fantastic time for Korean entrepreneurs to enter the United States. And that's because of the success of BTS, of Squid Games, and so forth, is that Americans right now think very highly of Korean culture, Korean products, and Korean content. So it's a great timing is very good. More specifically on what the Korean founders should do is just try to think of a very simple vision and path on how they're going to become the category leader. If they can make that a simple vision that they can explain in 5 minutes on just one PowerPoint slide and have it so that people can see how you can be the winner. So we're very excited about B2B applications. Basically, you can think of it as like SaaS for X, or think about it as AI for X. And the reason is that we believe that Korean companies, whether they're the chaebols or whether they're small and medium businesses, all need to undergo the digital transformation and become a data-driven company. And so in order to do this, achieve this transformation, they need a whole new stack of B2B application software. And so we think that the Korean B2B market is primed for the adoption of all these new technologies. Well, the advice that I give to Korean founders, whether Korean startups, Silicon Valley startups, or European startups, is simply just enjoy the journey. Just enjoy every day of it, because of the fact that companies are going to go through this huge emotional roller coaster of good times, bad times, stresses, and being, especially a CEO of a company, is a very lonely job. So as a result, I think the most important thing is to just enjoy the journey.